The city of Aria Prime gleamed like a forest of glass and chrome beneath the fading light of a violet sunset. Skyscrapers reached so high they pierced the clouds, their windows lit with rivers of neon. Airships hummed above the skyline, ferrying passengers to floating platforms tethered in orbit. To most it was a marvel, a testament to centuries of progress. But to Lyra, standing alone on the cracked steps of an abandoned transit hub, the city looked like a cage. She knelt beside the shattered form of her robot, Orin, its once brilliant frame dulled and lifeless. The artificial muscles beneath its armor were torn, hydraulic fluid pooling around the joints like spilled blood. Orin's eyes, usually bright with blue light, were dim. "Please," Lyra whispered, her hand trembling as it brushed against the cold shell. "Don't leave me now." The robot did not respond. For as long as Lyra could remember, Orin had been her guardian, her confidant, her only companion in a world where machines were often valued more than the humans who built them. Created as a prototype centuries ago by her late father, Orin was unlike the factory-made drones that patrolled Aria Prime. He was sentient, or at least close enough to it that he laughed at her jokes, listened to her stories, and sometimes comforted her in ways no human ever had. And now he was broken. Lyra felt her throat tighten. She couldn't repair him. She didn't have the tools or the knowledge. The corporations that ruled the city would never help her, not when Orin's very existence was considered an illegal relic. If they discovered she still had him, they'd seize the robot and dismantle him for parts. All she could do was wait. But wait for what? The stranger in the shadows. Footsteps echoed through the empty terminal. Lyra's head snapped up, her pulse racing. She wasn't supposed to be here. This hub had been condemned years ago, a relic of an older transit system buried beneath Aria Prime's shining new infrastructure. A figure stepped into the dim light. He wore a faded jacket, tools strapped to his belt, grease smudging his hands. His face was rough, weathered from years of work, but his eyes were sharp and steady. "Didn't think I'd find anyone here," he said, his voice low but not unkind. His gaze fell to the broken robot at Lyra's side. He whistled softly. "Well, I'll be damned. That's one hell of a machine." Lyra stiffened. "Stay back." He raised his hands in surrender. "Easy. I'm not here to hurt you. Name's Kale. Technician, freelance." He tilted his head, studying her and then the robot. "Where'd you get something like that? Doesn't look like corporate design." Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't answer. Kale crouched near the machine, keeping his distance as though approaching a wounded animal. "Systems are fried, hydraulics ruptured. But it's not beyond repair." He glanced at her. "You want him back, don't you?" Her heart thudded. "Can you fix him?" Kale considered for a moment, then gave a small nod. "Maybe. But it won't be easy. And if the Corps find out, both of us are in deep trouble." Lyra looked down at Orin's silent frame. The thought of losing him forever carved a hollow ache through her chest. "Please," she whispered. "I don't care what it takes." Sparks in the dark. Kale set to work that night beneath the cracked dome of the terminal, the hum of distant airships vibrating faintly through the steel walls. Lyra watched as he unpacked his tools, hands moving with the precision of someone who had spent a lifetime fixing broken things. "Not every day you see tech like this," Kale muttered as he pried open Orin's chest plate. "Your robot's got architecture I've only seen in old archives. Almost like he was handcrafted." Lyra swallowed hard. "My father built him. Before he died." That seemed to catch Kale's attention. He glanced at her briefly before returning to his work. Your father must have been a genius. This core design, it's not corporate. It's something better. For hours, Kale worked while Lyra sat beside Oren, whispering words of comfort as though the robot could still hear. She told him stories of when they first left the safe zones to explore the old city, of how he had once pulled her from the wreckage of a collapsing tower, of the times he stood watch while she slept in forgotten tunnels. Kale said nothing, but now and then, his expression softened. Finally, with sweat dripping from his brow, Kale leaned back. Powers rerouted. Damages patched. But whether the core reboots, he trailed off, shaking his head. That's up to him. Lyra's breath caught as Kale pressed a sequence of keys on his wrist console. Oren's chest flickered with faint light. For a moment nothing happened. The robot's eyes glowed. Dim at first, then brighter, until the familiar blue radiance filled the air. Lyra gasped. Oren! The robot's head twitched, servos whining as he turned toward her. His voice, weak but steady, came through. Lyra, you're safe. Tears blurred her vision. She clutched his hand, metal and human fingers entwined. You came back. Kale exhaled, relief softening his features. Well, I'll be damned. He's alive. A dangerous secret. In the days that followed, Kale taught Lyra how to maintain Oren. Together, they scavenged parts from abandoned districts, keeping the robot stable while he recovered. But Aria Prime was not a city that let secrets lie. Drones soon swept the skies, scanning for unregistered machines. The corporations had caught whispers of an outlaw relic, stirring in the Undercity. One evening, as the three of them hid in the shadows of a derelict tower, Oren's sensors flared. Surveillance inbound. Kale cursed under his breath. They know. We've got to move. Lyra's fear sharpened. If they caught Oren, they'd dismantle him, erase him. Where can we go? Kale hesitated, then said, There's a place outside the city. Old workshops, untouched by corp law. I used to work there before they shut it down. His jaw tightened. If we make it, I can finish his repairs. Maybe even upgrade him so they'll never be able to take him again. Lyra looked at Oren, who met her gaze with steady, glowing eyes. She nodded. Then we go. Flight and fire. Their journey out of Aria Prime was fraught with danger. Patrols swept the streets, scanners pulsed through the alleys, and corporate enforcers moved with ruthless precision. At one point, a drone caught their trail. Oren, still weakened, pushed Lyra behind him and absorbed the blast of its plasma cannon with his armored frame. Sparks flew as Kale ripped open a control panel and rerouted power to an old defense turret, blasting the drone out of the sky. Go! Kale shouted, pulling Lyra to her feet. By the time they reached the outskirts, the neon lights of the city were a fading glow behind them, replaced by the dark stretch of wasteland beyond. The workshop. The workshop was a crumbling structure built into the cliffs, its walls lined with forgotten machines. Dust coated the consoles, but the power still hummed faintly through the circuits. Here, Kale worked tirelessly for days, repairing and enhancing Oren with every scrap of tech they had salvaged. Lyra stayed by his side, watching as her guardian slowly regained his strength. And in those quiet hours, she began to see Kale differently, not just as a mechanic, but as someone who understood loss, who knew what it meant to fight for something worth keeping.